How do I avoid being resentful towards my BF regarding financial issues? I've been with my BF for 1.5 years. I knew early on that I made significantly more money than he does, like 4x. It wasn't until later that I found out he had a lot of debt that he accrued from poor financial decision making. He grew up in a difficult situation with a lot of drug use, poor influence, and poor financial decision making. He's the only person in his family to graduate from high school. He wanted better for himself, so he moved out of his town to where we both live now. I really admire this, but know that he accrued a lot of CC debt due to this move. He lives paycheck to paycheck currently due to his debt. Now flash forward to today. We share expenses like rent, relatively low, and utilities. But I pay for things like groceries, internet, phone, miscellaneous expenses. I also often pay to eat or go to the movies or any fun activity. Here's the thing, I think I'm beginning to be resentful about how much I spend. One of his favorite bands recently came, I like them too, so I bought tickets. I also paid for the lift to and from, dinner, and snacks during the concert. In addition to shirts/merch, there was people selling single roses, and I was hoping my boyfriend would buy me one if it wasn't too expensive, but he never asked. He knows I like sentimental, romantic things and that I love roses. I kept seeing women at the concert getting them and hoping he'd buy one on the way out. Well, the concert ended and he didn't. I even told him, "You didn't buy me a flower," and he just gave me a sad face and a kiss. He did buy two $15 beers for himself and one for me. He hardly drinks, so I didn't think this was horrible. Later in the night, I asked him why he didn't get one, and he said, "I thought it was a gimmick." I can't help but be frustrated. We share most of the chores at home. If we really break it down, I probably do more, so it's hard not to feel resentful when I'm also the one that financially does more. He works harder at work in the sense that it's much more physical than my desk job, so it's hard to ask him to do more. It's also hard to have these conversations when we both know he's at a financial disadvantage. I don't want to be that person that cares so much about money, but I do. I grew up in a poor situation where my family was broken up over financial issues. Because of that, I'm super careful with money. I save aggressively, but also want to enjoy finally having money by eating out, traveling, shopping, etc. I have enough and make enough to do a down payment on a house, but if we stay together, it'll take him years to be financially secure enough to do that with me. I want to travel often, and he can't unless I pay most of the costs. Comment. You can't. Either he gets better or you two eventually break up in a screaming match. If things don't feel reciprocated, then relationships fail. It doesn't exactly sound like he's grateful for your financial assistance, and if he is, it doesn't sound like he's necessarily doing things to make you aware of that. You need to, bear with me, sit down and talk to him like the adults you are. Sounds like you should have dated someone who views a relationship more of a transactional thing rather than an emotional one. You know your answer already. Let him go and let him find someone who will not resent him due to his financials. I think my question is, why do you feel resentful? When you talked about wanting a rose, and your partner not giving one to you, to me that reads you want to feel appreciated. I guess that makes me ask whether you feel appreciated in the relationship in the ways you want to be. If he lives paycheck to paycheck and doesn't waste a ton of money on useless things, there's really not that many options. Either you can find someone else to date who earns as much money as you do. Or you can insist you and your boyfriend live in a cheaper way, so that he can afford it from his own income and you can save more. Or you can just deal with these feelings. Like, what else is there to do? It sounds like you don't want to be with someone who has financial baggage, but you feel guilty about that because it's not your BF's fault. It's fair if you want to be in a certain financial situation, not living paycheck to paycheck, no debt, ability to do extras like travel. Your BF doesn't have that lifestyle. That lifestyle is a long way off, if he can ever have it. Obviously, things like a house or kids may be out of reach for him. You can accept living how you do now, change your arrangement, for example, he does more chores, or break up. If you choose to stay together, you don't have to take your BF out a lot. You also can do things without him. You can go on trips with your GFS, or go to concerts with them. If you pay for more expenses, he should do at least half of the chores. How finances and chores should be balanced is not a one-size-fits-all topic. My wife and I agreed that I do more chores and she pays more of our expenses. This works for us. Next story 2. My boyfriend's interesting life makes me feel like I live in his shadow. My boyfriend works as an established chef, and has spent his life doing interesting spontaneous things and traveling. Those things are all amazing, but I love him for who he is aside from how cool his life is. The only issue is that when I'm around him, especially when we're around strangers, I feel like a nobody. He mentions he's a chef or makes a connection with somewhere they've lived, and people are infatuated. I love that, and at times am the one to bring things up about him, but then I'm left usually standing there with nothing to say. I'm not shy, I'm actually very extroverted, and generally known for being charismatic and easy to talk to, but when meeting a random person somewhere and they hear one of us is a chef and the other works a boring corporate job, no one cares to get to know me further. I live a normal life, I haven't been able to travel too much and have crazy adventures because I couldn't afford it, and I work a normal corporate job now to make money for myself and support my immigrant parents and their retirement. I plan to build a fulfilling life for myself, but it'll take some time. This happens constantly. We're at a bar, restaurant, horseback riding, shopping at a cute shop, picking up something from Facebook Marketplace, somehow it always comes up and people genuinely forget to even ask me my name. I don't want to be seen as just his girlfriend, and that's never how I've seen myself. I'm smart, interesting, funny, but that never gets found out in these situations. I know to combat this feeling I need to build a life of my own and make myself worth talking about, and I'm trying, but it's difficult when you have a lot of responsibilities in life. It's going to take years before I can even join in on these conversations he has with others. I didn't get to be a free-living 18-year-old boy running around the world, pursuing whatever career they wanted. What can I do to get over this insecurity? How do I handle this? Every one of these interactions makes me very sad after, and I'd never ask my boyfriend to stop mentioning his work I'd hate to dim my boyfriend's light, since he deserves to let people know about himself. Comment. It sounds to me like being a chef is not just a job for your partner, it is a passion and he carries it into other aspects of his life such as socializing. You work a corporate job but you don't have a passion for it which carries into other areas of your life. This fact is obvious because you have said absolutely nothing about it beyond your occupation is in corporate. So, be the you who exists beyond the corporate world instead of looking at it as a competition of whose job is more exciting. 'Cause that's what you sound like you are doing, competing with your partner for the accolades of strangers. Exploring your feelings of inferiority and insecurity with a professional therapist may benefit you, and keep you from imploding your relationship with this amazing guy who you should love, not resent. Best of luck. Next story 3. Guy I'm dating lied about his age. I've been dating this guy for about 5 months. We established ages from the very beginning, I'm and he's. When we first met he told me he was 22, going to be 23 super soon, and at that time I was 19. I'm not saying I remember every conversation we've ever had, but I know he's always said 22. It was his birthday a couple days ago and in the card I put 23. He tells later that day that he's actually 24. We go over the whole let me see your ID and whatnot. The age difference doesn't bother me at all because it's just one more year. I just don't understand how he forgot to mention that. He said he just can't remember how old he is, so he just says whatever, but I'm just having a hard time believing that. The whole conversation he was acting like it was just a joke, but I just feel like it's odd he didn't tell me prior. I think the reason I'm concerned is that we've had conversations about the future and what that looks like in terms of marriage and having kids. He's obviously a bit further in life than I am and has told me he wants to have a family within the next 3 years. But now that he's a whole year older than I thought, I'm kind of concerned. He just got his license and still needs to buy a car in addition to still living at home. I grew up with single parent and not a lot of money, so I'm very conscious about things like saving and just what the future looks like. He on the other hand just kinda of goes with the flow. And there's nothing wrong with that, everyone has different priorities. I just see that there are things I care about, like saving, that he just doesn't. I know that everyone moves at different stages of life and I'm not judging at all, but I just feel that the things that are happening now will only progress as our relationship continues, and considering we're not even officially together, I feel that I need to make my decision before things become serious. I know guys don't mature at the rate women do, but I just think for the age gap there should be more responsibility and maturity. Especially considering he wants a family. I don't take that lightly, and I'm not about to have kids with someone who doesn't put in the work. I'm still in college with 2 years of undergrad left, and I'm very certain about pursuing PA school afterwards. I'm not thinking about kids right now, and honestly not in the next 4 years. I'm not sure if this is worth having a conversation with him about, or just cutting my ties now. The last thing I want to do is cut down on him when he's really done nothing wrong, and it's more of my personal feelings. I really do like and care about him, but I also have aspirations for my future, and I'm having a hard time seeing where we would work. Should I share my concerns with him, or do I just keep it moving and end things? Comment. Keep it moving. He lied to you because he knows it's creepy for a 24-year-old to pursue a teenager. I don't think his age is a big deal, but the casual lie is. You can't make assumptions about what he wants, but it sounds like you aren't that into him and want to focus on your education and future. That's okay.